Well, very good evening and a warm welcome to the Hot Seat this 3rd of March 2025. My name is Judith Atim. I'm sitting in for Patrick Kamara. And of course, this evening we are talking about the pertinent issues in women's economic and political empowerment as we count down to the International Women's Day 2025, which will be on the 8th of March. The theme is Accelerate Action, and I am pleased to be joined by my guest, Her Worship Regina Bachitenakazi, who is the Mayor for Nansana Municipality. She's also the Chairperson, Alliance of Mayors Association. Your Worship, good evening, and good to have you on the show.
Good evening. I'm also happy to be once again here, KFM, for this Hot Seat. And I'm looking forward to discuss issues that make women is people power.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. Speaking about people power, well, campaigns for the Kawempe North MP by-election started today in earnest, and what a day it has been. If you go on social media, the commentary there, there's so much that is actually playing out that you would actually learn. If you want to have a snapshot of what happened today, just go there. I am just reading something from the Daily Monitor handle. Daily Monitor just shared some pictures saying earlier the NUP leadership and supporters clashed with security operatives. The supporters of the NUP supporters or members were beaten up. They were arrested by these security forces. They were also fired with tear gas as they headed to Kawempe Muslim Primary School playgrounds to campaign for the party's flag bearer, Arias Nalukola, who is running, of course, for MP. He's holding the party flag. We've seen lots of videos, really, really scary videos. And just before we go into our discussion, Your Worship, what has your day been like? Just very quickly.
Yeah, of course, the day has been interesting. First of all, we are able to host our president, Bobby Wine.
Oh, if you're listening and you don't know, Her Worship is a member of NUP.
Yes, I'm a member of NUP. Sorry, I'm a NUP. And it was supposed to be in Kazo, Angola. And it was in order because according to the Electoral Commission, it was supposed to be within that area. So apart from that, I'm also on a committee, a mobilization committee as a supervisor, to see that we are able to win that electoral area, and it has 17,000 voters. So the whole of this morning with my deputy mayor, I've been moving out because we are supposed to have mini rallies to meet the different people in the area. But of course, as what happened, remember on the nomination of our candidate, Nalukola, Arias, the way he was beaten, when we met some women and elders, they were fearing to be part of the gathering at Kawempe where we had our mini rally. But all the same, of course, there were some scuffles you saw. People were beaten at Kavule when our president was leaving for the rally. And also, when people try to pass via Kazo, there's that road Kazo between Nansana and Kawempe. Police came and dispatched them and said you will not be able to proceed. Then they only allowed the president vehicle to pass and enter. Then people, of course, were wise enough. Before they could leave the president alive, they had to leave their vehicle there and they had to move on foot. But in that show, it has been a really very good turn-up. And we really appreciate our president, members of parliament, and our candidate was really very strong than ever. And we are looking forward to see how we can take over the seat. Because looking at Central Region, most of the supporters are young people and also the women, but more still, this Kawempe seat, remember when he lost our Segirinya, may he so lost it, rest in peace. He was really a very vibrant man, but I was impressed the way my candidate came out, the way he was addressing the people. He was so calm. He could also be able to sing. He was looking healthy, and if all goes well, I think we are going to win like 70% of the votes.
Yeah. That's interesting.
That's where I try to learn to. I was there for some time. I had trying to come for this program.
Which we do appreciate you for making time. Thank you.
Yeah.
And of course, we're just a few days away from the International Women's Day, and that's also what's partly informing our conversation today. But also, of course, we're not just looking at the economic issues in women's empowerment, but also the political. And I'm glad you are here. You're a politician, and just this little background you've shared is quite an eye-opener and comes in really to enrich the conversation we're having. But also, I'm going to read a few issues that happened today in the plenary sitting at Parliament. The focus was also on women, and I'm reading this from the Parliament Watch handle, X handle, where, of course, the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Anita Mong, said that for the Women's Parliament, focus will be on how to address domestic violence against women. And in her words, and I quote, she says, "As you come here, you will find one of the women was battered. Where are you going?" So what we are going to discuss here is on the issue of domestic violence. How do we try our best to eliminate domestic violence? How can we be heard? How can we have a voice? That's one of the things that she actually highlighted. And also still on the same issue, there were also motions that were debated and passed by the Women's Parliament today, including the motion to enhance access to education for the girl child, the motion to strengthen policies for women's economic empowerment, motion to strengthen women's participation in politics. Also, let me see what else came up. Adolf Moseje, of course, was also saying that today marks a milestone when we gather here to celebrate the significant strides that have been made for women emancipation throughout the country. And he said, as we speak today, the representation of women in Parliament stood at 2 women in 1962. But as we speak today, we have 186 in the 11th Parliament, to which the Speaker presides over. Apart from the 146 which have been reserved for women, the additional 40 women have graduated from the affirmative seat to directly elected members of Parliament. Quite a performance, I should say, from 60 years plus. We've actually made quite tremendous leaps when it comes to women's representation in politics, right from the grassroots level, including our districts or town councils or cities where you, as mayor, I don't know how many female mayors we do have in the country, though, but certainly that's not a position that decades ago you would find many women going for. It was predominantly male-dominated. But I want us to start, first of all, with the aspect of political empowerment. Why? We are in a season of politics. We are heading into a general election just less than a year from now. And the temperatures are already getting heated. Already we can see from events in Kawempe, which, well, predominantly has more male candidates than female candidates. But when you actually started by saying when you gathered at your party headquarters, a lot of women were already getting scared, because of the heavy military deployment and so on. What would this portend for women's involvement or participation in politics if we see this kind of brutality and violence continuing in the coming elections?
Yeah, thank you, moderator. I think, first of all, I would like to thank the women because they have persisted hardships at home, at workplace, and also in the political arena. Because now when we look at the gender, because gender is not about only women, it's also about our biological setup. Looking at the women who have participated in politics today, I really applaud them. The 186 that you were saying, and also the 14 affirmative action. But the issue is, if you are to do what we call a women emancipation in politics, we should look at all sides. I think this government shouldn't look at Regina Bachite being a noob, and also let's another NRM woman being given better preferences, because when it comes to rigging, I believe those areas where they stand for affirmative action, they also experience the same. Looking at what I was telling you, that the women who were scared, those ones who are going to vote, whom we found at their houses, very scared not to come to the rally. Of course, the young people were able to come. So what does that one depict? If today the president is saying that his whatever program is bringing is looking at affirmative action, saying that women are my voters, women have empowered them, the girl child, they are now in political positions, they are speakers among others. But how do they, when you look at the way they elect a speaker, is there fairness and justice? The way when you look at 146, this that we have today, I think we only have Honorable Narima, who is Nope, and also Honorable Malende. I don't know whether we have any other women out of those the 46 who persevered to win the NRM. So what we are looking today, I want to say a president who has been for 40 years as a president, how does he put into place a better political environment as we approach 2026 to have more women entering? Like when you look at, I can give an example of Nansana. Currently in Nansana, I have 133 cells. But out of the 130, I only have 2 women local council chairpersons. When you come at the level of mayors, it's only me. Then you have some mayor of the municipalities. We only have, I'm the mayor. When it comes to the cities, we only have our worship Namayanja. So for the divisions, I think we have something like in Ikabale, there are some 3 to 4. But when you look at the 600 town council that we have in this country, out of those, how many are women? When you look at the 31 municipalities, I've said it's only mayor. When you look at our 15 cities, we only have our worship Namayanja. So I think there is already, instead of going forward, I'm saying that women, it has been a disadvantage to this country, to this regime, where when you compare Uganda with Rwanda women come out and compete, but here in this country, they look at a woman. When you don't support NRM, you are not a woman. But when you support an NRM, then you have the opportunity of being supported and be part of the agenda. So those are the areas that I'm trying to look at. How can we ensure that more women come 2026, we have a political working ground, whether I'm NRM or not? Can I be able to come and stand? Like during the election, we saw how Narukola was beaten. Can a woman afford to be done like that? Because they can even undress you. So there are no human rights. This country has gone beyond. In fact, we're looking for, I don't know whether there's really injustice within this country. Looking at our demographics, when you look at a man and a woman.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. My producer Stephen Bide is telling me it's time for us to take a break, and then we return and continue with this discussion. This is the Hot Seat. My name is Judith Atim. Welcome back from the break. It's 19 minutes past 7 o'clock. This is the Hot Seat. My name is Judith Atim. I'm sitting in for Patrick Amara. We're discussing the pertinent issues in women's economic and political empowerment as we count down to the International Women's Day 2025, which is running under the theme Accelerate Action. And I'm pleased to be joined by Her Worship Regina Bachitenakazi, who is the Mayor of Nansana Municipality. She's also the Chairperson, Alliance of Mayors Association. Your Worship, we've talked about the politics, of course, but just one more question. You say the numbers have certainly increased, but we do see more women on the NRM ticket, which means the political landscape is actually not leveled because we don't see enough political shade represented by women in Parliament or even at other elective positions. Having said that, we know for a fact that the numbers do speak. You know, we are not where we were decades ago. And that tells something that there's some progress, of course, that is being made. But having said that, do the numbers really matter when it comes to the substance of debate or contributions that the women are making, whether it is in terms of legislation or leadership or anything like that?
Okay, thank you. First of all, you see, when you look at our SDGs, one of the SDGs is about education for all. And we are looking at the literacy levels, especially when you compare men and women. Maybe we are somewhere. These literacy levels really contribute a lot when it comes to communication, to understanding what's right and wrong, and ensure that you are able to address issues of service delivery in the community. But looking at the numbers that we have today, as you said, you also put yourself, have empathy in those women who are being nominated. If you come on NRM ticket, of course you can't be independent. You can't come out to talk ill about the government. Because remember, whenever they are going to pass a policy in Parliament, the president has to invite them in Entebbe for a caucus. You saw what's going to happen about the UPDF Act after when the court nullified that they are not supposed to
try civilians.
Try civilians courts. But when they are invited, they are going to come and talk with one word. So I'm looking at people who have been elected in their position to ensure that they are able to be able to lobby, to be able to defend women's rights, issues of domestic violence, issues that are not really human. Like when a lady is tortured, can an NRM person come out to
condemn it?
So we are in a situation having numbers which some don't matter. Because you are seeing a lot of corruption. Me, I would expect my fellow woman, if I was, of course, for us women, let's say when you educate a lady, you're educating a nation. The men may do otherwise, but I expect a woman to come on floor in Parliament, come out with the better policies, come out with the good legislations which are really pertinent to the women. But most time they are influenced. In order saying the right thing, they are influenced and they come out to say probably a wrong thing in order to appease the president who nominated them. So I'm having more numbers, but is there quality? What transformation have they brought in the women arena as we look today? So me, that's where my debate is. So me, I'm looking. That's why I'm coming out to mobilize our fellow women, the voters, because we are 52% of the population. If you see that an NRM has not worked and is coming, and there is someone from opposition who have shown some progress, come out and vote someone who is going to look at your issues, other than saying NRM has really given us this one, let us go with her. You can always use our numbers to compete, because now look at so many years, the 40 years. Look at the women I'm talking today, because I'm the chairperson of all the mayors in this country. Look at the women are suffering. No school fees, no medicine in the hospital, the roads are poor, yet you are supposed to have good infrastructure. Why don't you pull them back and then you get those who are able to address our issues? Like me, the mayor Nansana, I'm always very independent, and I talk my mind, because I will not say next time Museveni not give me the vote. It is the people who gave me the votes. Yes.
That's very interesting. So you bring up the aspect of the economic issues that I want us to go into.
Yes.
When you see how far we have come, again, say 40 years of a government that has also, to its credit, championed this women's emancipation agenda. Okay. I think if there's one thing that the NRM government has actually been consistent about, it is pushing and promoting women. And we've seen, regardless of other challenges, but still, when you look at the issues of economic and livelihoods for women, economic empowerment, some people think today's woman is actually really, really empowered, especially those who've had privileges of, say, having an education and having opportunities. But we also see a contradiction when you move to rural areas, or even within urban areas, especially communities that are inhabited by the urban poor. We can still see that there's still a lot of challenges there. As a leader, what are the biggest issues that you think is actually derailing the progress that the country should be making when it comes to empowering women economically?
Yeah, basically, as I was saying, economic empowerment is also key, because looking at there's no how someone can progress unless you have you can take something home. Now, we need now to distinguish. We appreciate the government has done a lot in the UP and UCE, which is good. But when it comes to the economic empowerment at household level, especially targeting the women, I think there is a big gap. Because now when you look at currently, we have levels. We have the bourgeoisie and those who are the poorest women within the communities. So what I'm looking at, government is really so smart, because it has to tell you what you want to hear. Like when you look at the current government programs, where they say, like when you look at UWEP, there was what we call the Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, and it was really at the municipality level, and also I think at the sub-county level or the districts, where money was channeled to the district and municipalities. But when it came to the selection of the beneficiaries, they are the NRM who are spearheading. So that money, during the selection, their RDCs are involved in the Myoga, even the PDM today. So you find the mayor lastly bringing files to your desk where you are supposed to append a signature. Mm-hmm. So when you ask, they say, we have gone through a process. But that process really is targeting the NRM people in those areas. And if you to do an audit now, what PDM has been there for almost the last 2 years. Has there been any multiplier effect? In Myoga, they were eating millions and got over 750 million during when you are going for elections. But I don't know where the money went.
That was the 2021 election.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Because by the time they bought the money, we are going for elections. Then the other DCs were people who were heading the teams of selection. They bought UWEP. UWEP, remember, it was also a grant that was being given government. But of course, we were supposed to pay back. But if you are to go and track people who got the money, the groups, you may find that most of the people got the money. We are not the people who are supposed to get that money. So, in a nutshell, when they are launching such programs, a woman who is, let's say, in Ilaka somewhere may say the government is really looking at us. You have a preference. But when it comes to the selection, money goes back to the same people. That's why we're not seeing any multiplier effect in terms of economic empowerment among the women, mm-hmm. except for those who are educated and they are able to get a job. But the grassroots people who are supposed to benefit from the wealth creation, you go and find out how many cows have they given out.
But then what would then be the better approach or the best approach to actually ensure that these opportunities indeed trickle down to the average woman who doesn't have access to opportunities, or the woman who doesn't have privilege?
I think as a government, we should follow the Local Government Act, where if you are, let's say, a chairperson of a division or a mayor, you take full control. But when it comes to identification, they have already the NRM structures committees who are always given the opportunity to carry out. And moreover, when it comes to composition, an NRM chairperson is supposed to be on a committee, on every committee which is supposed to select. So already the thing has been politicized, mm-hmm. because every time whenever an opportunity comes, they'll be giving the same people. That's why more women are becoming poorer. And those who always get more. So can we remove politics from these government programs?
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting way of looking at it. I want us to go back to, of course, the issue of politics again. Because that is where you are, but also the season is still, we're getting there. We're getting to that season, as I said earlier. Again, with the aspect of still, there's also the issue of commercialization of our politics, and I don't know where that puts the woman. Because we know every time we read literature about money and so on, we know that men still have that extra economic advantage over women. So where does that leave a woman, especially one who wants to go into mainstream, into the mainstream race, not just the affirmative action seats, someone who wants to move to a constituency as an MP competing with a man or men who are probably more financially endowed than she is. Where does that put such a woman?
So I think in order to do things differently, because for us we have many political parties which are in opposition, I think it's high time if they can at least put a fund, if they want more women to be in politics, a special fund to ensure that women are supported. When it comes like a nomination fee at parliamentary level, they want 3 million. And you know the income of the women. If you want more women in politics, ensure that you make their work easy by getting a fund, the different political parties, so that women are able so to go for nomination. They are able to meet their logistics like posters. We are able to build their capacity, because this is a time of identifying the pool of women leaders who are going to compete not only at parliamentary level but up to a level of a councillor. Can we build their capacity? Because even mobilizing them, counseling them, mentoring and coaching needs a lot of money. If we are to do the best, I think it's high time, because when we look at the economic status of most of the women, they are not well off, but we need them we need their voices. And in fact, when you have a council where you have many women, you can even, for us women, we are parents, we are mothers. But what prevents many women from participating in politics about, they have to put in a lot of money. And remember, others are not saved at, as you know. Yeah.
Thank you. It is 7:32 p.m. It's time for us to take a break, and then we'll return and continue with this discussion. Welcome back. It's 7:36 p.m. Glad you're still with us here on the Hot Seat on 933 KFM. My name is Judith Atim, and I'm joined by Her Worship Regina Bachite Nakazi, Mayor for Nansana Municipality, also Chairperson Alliance of Mayors Association. We're still talking about the pertinent issues in women's economic and political empowerment as we count down to the International Women's Day 2025, which is focusing on accelerating action, of course, action in all spheres, whether it's political action, access to health, access to opportunity, gender parity, and so on. When we were for the break, you actually mentioned something about political parties also investing in their women. And I think a lot of times that's a conversation that never gets amplified. But I would like to hear your thoughts, your detailed thoughts about this. How or to what extent should they invest? And what's the current situation anyway?
Yeah, of course, first of all, as a country, you said that the president, I think, is giving a quota. That was the constitution says should be women. So I think for them to attract more women leaders, the parties, they can even go further a mile and say, for us, we can even offer 2/3. Because
do they have capacity, though, to do that, in your opinion?
The parties, I think the parties can do it, because these days we have women who can really be able to compete if we have a strategy as parties. Because now also, I understand when you have more women in our parties, this can also help us to remove dictatorship. Because what I advise, you can have social movements of women within our parties, because women caucus more and they talk more. Because when they come out to talk, for them they can talk, and when they come out to show that we need something, they're always resilient, and they really come out and show. So I think it's high time we need to think, what can we do better? If NRM is having a quota, can we have a 2/3? Can we have, as I said, as opportunities, like, can we have a program for the women? Women, those are the women and girls. Because even girls, they also play a bigger part in terms of come out with innovative practices. So I think also parties should invest in women emancipation. They can go beyond, because you can't do having more representative women. You are not doing a travail of the constitution. But what can you do better? Can we see that we have a position? Women, can we communicate them in communication skills? Can they have a front seat when it comes to the neck? How is the composition of the neck? It's also very important. The committees within a party, those are areas where we can even attract more women. They can even move away from NRM and they come and be part of those parties. I think also parties high time they also think of having other innovative practices of attracting more women into their decision-making organs. So I think it's one of the areas that we have to look into. Then the other area, I think, may be an area of entrepreneurship. When you look at the business sector, how many women are investors? Most of the people whom we have, when I collect property tax, when you look at the payroll, the evaluation roll, we have more men than women. So you can't ensure that you can't say that we're empowering women when you are not empowering them socioeconomically through entrepreneurship skills. So it's high time it also becomes an agenda for the parties to have an investment follower within the parties where we come and invite women to give us their ideas on how we can be better entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurship is like more of a private sector. Because even the private sector is dying, but more of the private sector, we have more men than women. So that what I'm looking at parties where they can look at those pillars to see that more women can join the different parties according to their ideologies. Yes,
that's interesting. So we are going to have an International Women's Day, which is coming at a time of where the context within which we find ourselves this year. I'm looking at the global context now, is quite precarious. In light, and I'm saying this in light of decisions made by the U.S. President Donald Trump, especially the executive orders that have seen funding cut significantly, or actually the suspension of USAID activities, at least temporarily. We don't know what this means. And we know the U.S. has been a very big funder to our health sector. Well, we are told that funding is not going to be affected, but also we see contradictory reports coming up time and again, or to the effect that PEPFAR funding, especially for crucial life-saving HIV treatment, malaria and TB, has been cut down. I think yesterday or a few days ago we saw the circular about funding to Baylor, this organization that was supporting children with HIV, being withdrawn. And where does that put women, Ugandan women, but also women around the world who are grappling with, say, HIV, either as patients or as caregivers? And also in terms of, say, initiatives like prevention of mother-to-child transmission.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, before I go to Trump, I think as Trump, if you read carefully his executive layout, he talked of, I think he's donor fatigue. I think he's supporting countries over 30 years and they are stagnant. And I believe their international declarations were made by different countries when look at the Paris Agreement and the climate, because climate has also been an area where they've been putting money. They've been looking at the gender mainstreaming, and we only have a few, I think, years to make it 2030. Then we looked at the health sector. Remember the Abidjan conference? They had requested all countries at least to budget 15% towards health. So when we look at our government today, I think they're only budgeting 6 to 7%. So I think also before we blame Trump, we have to ensure that also we have to make our country sustainable. Because when you look at the US, even Netherlands, I think the Dutch, they have also cut.
Yeah, they're slashing.
They're also slashing. So they also have their own people to look after. And also remember, whenever they're giving us money infrastructure, they are contracting the Chinese. Haven't you seen? So they are looking, probably they fear China may take over. So I think in that spirit, what are the provisions, like our country, if we have been sticking to those declarations, what has been preventing us? Because if this government of Uganda has really on the budget allocated 15%, we shall not be affected as it is now. So what we did for us, we sat back and we thought all the years we shall be getting funding from the donors. I think this has been a lesson to us. It's unfortunate that people who on PMTCT, we've been saving mother, our newborn from not getting HIV. People who have been who are supposed to take the HIV/AIDS drugs, It's really a problem. So now, what do we learn from this? This is going to be after freezing, and I think that many more countries are coming on board. I think it's high time we should have an alternative to such issues as a government. I was even expecting the president, instead of inviting the cabinet for the UPDF Act, to invite them on what we are going to handle the Trump, not even Trump, or you say the only, but also other countries that are withdrawing, because this may not end right now. So we have something on the table. What do we do right now? Should we leave people to die? Or what do we do as a country to ensure that we save the lives?
Very interesting.
Yes.
We'll be opening our phone lines shortly, and you can call us on any of these numbers: 0393 933 933, 0393 262 933, 0393 262 934. You could also reach us on 0393 266 933, 0701 933 934. Or 0751 933 900, and give us your thoughts on what we're talking about. That's the pertinent issues in women's economic and political empowerment, as of course we count down to the International Women's Day 2025. Do you think we've actually, as a country, done enough to empower women politically and economically? What are the hurdles or obstacles that holding women back? But also, if you could give your perspectives in light of the current political developments that we are going through as a country, and whether you think this is a healthy space for advancing women in the years to come. This is the Hot Seat. Well, Your Worship, I don't know if you had finished actually giving your submission, or I could give you another question. Because as we wait for people to call in, yes. The road ahead, what do you envisage in the months or years from now for women in Uganda and their progress? I'm told we have a caller. Just a minute. Hello. Yes. Yes, please.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for the show.
Who is this?
This is Ekode.
Ekode, good evening. Thank you, Ekode, for calling.
You're welcome.
Yes, please. Your thoughts?
First of all, I want to thank the mayor for making it the studio for enlightening about their day. Two things. One, women who are currently in top position, they should utilize those positions, like the mayor. In her office, she's to continue empowering women if she's doing this. Because we are going to lament on this government. I know it's trying to do it to empower women and the culture. That one, the government is trying, but it has not done as much as we are expecting as Ugandans. But currently, women who are in this first role, please utilize them and empower the girl child. Two, the politics of today, like I went to the election, is just triggering to what we are going for in 2026. Things are not going to be easy because there are RSC, kibokos, tear gas. These are like normal things. They are like chips and chicken, which people go and have every evening. So monetization of money, that's why women are learning. There are very few women in politics because politics has been monetized. Too much money has been poured into politics, which women can't afford. So this should be the issue now. Women should be discussing on that. How can we encourage more women to be into politics? Thanks for that, show.
Okay. I think we can proceed if you have any comments to make in regards to what Ekode just shared. Ekode says women in top positions like yours should utilize these positions to empower their fellow women and the girl child. And also he says the politics of Kawempe is just a sneak peek of what's coming in 2026. But then, of course, where does this leave the woman? How can we ensure that the interests and the well-being and aspirations of the women or women are protected and respected in these kinds of environments that we find ourselves?
Yeah. I think basically I want to thank Ekode for his submission. it's rightly said that we should empower them. Me, one of the agenda is to ensure that I encourage more women to come as direct seats other than going for these women
affirmative action positions.
Because currently, when you look, they have already reduced the constituencies. Initially, in the last Sunday, which you are ending right now, we are having a one-to-one. Now we are having one lady who is they have combined, let's say, 3 wards. 3 wards are having one woman. Yet for each ward, the 3 we are having a man per ward. So I'm telling them in the instant that we don't even have the money and you have the capacity to stand, why don't you leave these women sit to those whom we call weak? Then you come and compete with the men. But what we are doing today, we are trying to identify them and we are trying to groom them. And I was telling them it's not all about money, but your presence in the constituents. Because a ward might have 29 wards and 133 cells. But a woman, you can just move, be sure that you integrate into different activities. You use the cultural structures, you use the church structures, also use other areas to see that you come on board to be able to compete in the next election. Because these people who come and compete, they are not angels. They just play on the people's minds. So the issue of the political ground, I think the women are saying, if you want to have more women in politics, it's time we change the government. We should vote we come and vote in masses like in Kawempe. Come and, because the election is not about Narukola or NUP now. This is now a national election, which we have already started 2026. So women are seeing how we are being oppressed. Let us vote more so that come 2026, when you come to stand, you find a better ground to ensure that you also win. We can use our numbers to overtake this man. He can't steal forever. He can't.
That's interesting. Very interesting. But so to the woman out there in Kawempe who I would just like you to talk to that woman that you met today who is afraid, who told you she can't get out to go and listen to go and attend the rally because she's afraid of what's going to happen. How can you inspire her to actually overcome these fears and go and exercise her civic duty?
Me, I want to ensure the woman out there whom we met today that the vote is your liberator. This is a secret ballot. I believe they already registered in their constituents. You wait. You may even fail to come to the rally, but ensure that if we reach to you today, reach to another 3, then another 3 to another 6, so that we have an prior effect. You keep quiet. So that on that day on 13th, you go very early, you put your vote, but ensure that that vote is not stolen. Because we are going to have contact people to ensure that they work with us. I saw it was in Alua. There was a lot of beating, but they won. Remember what was in Chisolo, the woman MP? the independent won, the NRM one. They went and rigged, but still the red was leading. So when you vote in numbers, in masses, it's not really easy to steal a vote. And I know that on that day, everybody is going to bid even a way to go and vote. Don't think they are now trying to scare people that they to put them under fear. Fear is a sin. Please come out as a woman. You go to labor and produce. Even this time you are going to produce. Now the child is in Narukora.
Very, very interesting. And we just have a few minutes actually to wind up. If we don't have any other caller, I think I'll just ask you to just share with us your final or concluding remarks as we actually wind up this show.
Yeah, basically, I just want to appreciate the role of a woman, because without them being perseverance, this country will not be anywhere. And I just want to tell my fellow women that if you want to liberate yourself, ensure that you are part of people who are going to bring change. The change will not come from anywhere. The change is going to come from you. I want to appeal to the fellow women that let us use our numbers. Also, as we celebrate our Women's Day, let us turn up. Let us gain the joy. Socialization is also something like which can reduce your stress. So if you are going to celebrate the Women's Day, ensure that you are part of the celebration. Because years count. You keep on losing, you may find yourself growing old when you have not even enjoyed. This is your right. And I just want also to ask our husbands, our boys and girls, to be part of the celebrations. Let you be part of the change. Let us, you men, be part of us. If you want change, elect a woman. If you want your family to grow, ensure that your wife is also part of your agenda. Don't say my wife is there. No, the wife moves because also you also have daughters. So that's my appeal. And no, I don't know whether
there's a question.
Okay,
I thought you would be concluding, but there's a question coming in here that we see road construction in Kampala. What's happening in Nansana? Just away from the conversation around women. Of course, also the conversation of the question of leadership and service. What's really happening there?
Yeah, basically, currently in Nansana, of course, roads is also it's an agenda issue. Already we have already launched. We are going to work on Katoke, Wamala, Jinjakalol, and also the Secretary General has also approved the contract for Kazo around that market, because when you construct roads, women are able to go to the markets. They are going to have safe delivery. The girls are able to go to school without any impediment. Then the leadership in Nansana is very hot with the mayor Nansana, a municipality of choice. So if you want to test the politics, you come to Nansana. But still, we are planning also to celebrate our Women's Day after the national one. It will be in Ibusukuma, so I'm trying to mobilize the women in Ibusukuma to ensure that we shall be having a day, because I'm not supposed to have the 8th one, but we shall be having. And also, we have different webinars which we've been sharing. But I'm proud of the women organizations, UONET, among the Women Pro Bono Initiative, among others, who invited us as women. And they took us through on what it means to celebrate Women's Day. Okay,
and just in 1 minute, how was the issue of garbage resolved? The last time we had you here, we were talking about garbage management, and that was actually in the aftermath of the Chitezi tragedy.
Yeah, I'm happy to tell you that I think Kampala City has got money from Greater Kampala. This money that we are to be using from World Bank. They have purchased land, they are taking in PG. They are saying they are going to construct a plant. But currently that's where they are dumping. But for us as a municipality, we want to start on next financial year to construct our treatment plant. And I urge the people at the grassroots, we are going to focus more on sorting of garbage, because now it's a mayor's challenge in the municipality. So we need to keep Nansana clean and green. When we sort and have a plant, we shall even be doing what we call creation of jobs. For our women and the youth. I also appeal to the youth who are under Youth Climate Fund. Like them, they are aware that we have a donor from Bloomberg who is supporting young people. So it's between $1,000 and $5,000 US. So the deadline is 15th March. Let them they work on their proposal so that they are handed on time in the mayor's office. But I wish the girls and women the best of it, and also our husbands, as we wait, and our boys and girls wait for the Women's Day.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much, Your Worship. Regina Bachite Nakazi, Mayor Nansana Municipality and Chairperson Alliance of Mayors Association, for making time to be with us here on the hot seat today. Our topic, of course, has been the pertinent issues in women's economic and political empowerment, of course, as we count down to the International Women's Day 2025, which is focusing on accelerating action. This is the hot seat. My name is Judith Atim. Thank you very much for joining us. The hot seat returns tomorrow. Until then, have yourselves a good evening.